My name is Trey Martin, and this is an Understanding by Design. What did I learn over the UBDs? The main topics of this was what were the causes of the American Revolution. My standard was SSUSH3, and it said the student will explain the primary causes of the American Revolution. First is UBD 1. UBD 1 was really cool because I felt like it assisted the teachers to think about the essential questions of what the students need to know within the lesson of the unit or within that standard. It breaks down the standard into substandards and really makes the teacher think about what is going on. For example, it says the teacher has to break it down into understandings. Understanding is students will understand or know how to. The learning outcomes. So my learning outcomes were the causes of the American Revolution, how taxation without representation caused the people to revolt, and how the French Indian War caused the British debt, which made them tax the colonists. Some of the essential questions I had, there were two different types, overarching and full. Some overarching essential question was, what were the main causes of the American Revolution? This was basically my unit essential question. And then some of my topical ones were, how did Thomas Paine's pamphlet, Common Sense, help incite a movement for independence? And what were the intolerable acts? And then I had to break the standard down into knowledge and skills. This would mean the substandards, which there were 3 for this one, is how do I break that down? What will students need to know and what will they need to do? For this one, it just had 3 under what will the students need to do. And one example would be explain how the end of the Anglo-French imperial competition as seen in the French and Indian War and the Treaty of Paris laid the groundwork for the American Revolution. This is a picture of my UBD 1. Now UBD 2 was proof that there was learning. This is the way students learn the material in UBD 2, and they did this through my lesson plan as a web quest. The students get in groups of 4, and they're each assigned a role: researcher, recorder, team leader, and product designer. And each group had to think of a way to show that they mastered the skill. Now, I hope they were going to be creative, and the creating is the top level of Bloom's taxonomy, which I think is very important and covering all the basis of Bloom's taxonomy and then making sure that the students have to create. Also, students had to include a rubric, and the rubric was so that the students know exactly what is expected. During my assignments, I included a raft assignment, and this was like reflective. And this is what Alexander Shea had to say about using rafts within students' writing assignments. In this type of activity, students can be required to use certain vocabulary words throughout their writing. Not only does the use of vocabulary words help reinforce understanding and demonstrate definitional knowledge, it exhibits students' understanding of the overall concepts they learned. And I think using raft assignments allows the students to really dissect what they're talking about and making sure they can get in different roles and understanding. In my UBD2, the students have to get in the role of either the colonist or the British. Also, this is what a group of Chinese people have to say about the web quest. This is what the peer-reviewed article had to say about the use of the web quest. Web-based quest has been recognized as an effective way of fostering students' abilities of researching, selecting, and abstracting and summarizing the information on the web to answer a series of questions regarding a particular issue. So the web quest allows the students to research my topic, which is American Revolution. And this was just a peer-reviewed article that I found interesting about as we were introducing Common Core about the students' writing in social studies. Writing naturally leads to a learning because it is a constructive, reflective process. As students write, they may do which concepts are especially confusing to them. They can help develop their understandings of these concepts by linking them in concrete examples in everyday life. As a teacher, if we can make links to being able to what we're learning to everyday life, I think that's going to help the students learn more. So this is saying that by making those links, it allows the students to learn more and also lets the teacher know what they don't understand. Oh, and within my rubric, it's to be graded on content, collaboration with others, preparedness, comprehension, and creativity. Now, the UBD3 is by far the longest and includes several steps into showing whatever. W is the first step to explain where the unit is going. H is the second step to make sure the student is hooked. And my hook was actually Liberty Kids, which is a kids TV show that explains the American Revolution and so the students can actually see what we're talking about. E is explore and equip, and I think the students will be equipped through this by getting all the definitions of the words so they know what they're expecting, they know what they have to learn. R is rethink and revise, and this is where my rafts come in, because the raft is really a way for the students to evaluate the viewpoints from both the colonist and the soldier's point of view. E is exhibit and evaluate, and I think that I'm going to be able to evaluate my students because I'm using all different learning styles and they're covered throughout this lesson. In my final project, I make sure they gain the proper knowledge. T is tailor it to the students. The raft is an example of this, and also I feel like I've covered all the different learning styles and also all of Bloom's taxonomy levels, just to make sure that I've covered every need of the students. And it's O is like an organization. I think it's important for teachers to be organized, and included in my UBD 3 is a schedule of my week lesson plan. This is a picture of my UBD 3. Finally, technology used. UBD 1, we didn't use technology because it was mainly just explaining the standard. UBD 2 was a web quest, and that's going to take the internet and iPads. And also, students are going to have to, in UBD 2, students have to present a project, and within that, the students will be forced to use computers, technology, just to look up the resources and find out what they're going to do for their project. UBD 3 is really showing, it starts off by using a video to hook the students, and then also uses computers to type writing assignments just like UBD 2, and then also like UBD 2, students can use their technology for presentations. I learned a lot about designing lesson plans with this UBD 1, 2, and 3, and I think that it's going to be allowing me to become a better teacher and allow me to make my lesson plans better for my students and meet all their learning needs. Thank you.